All right, welcome back to the Diagnosis Redefined podcast. And I have a special episode for you because this is the first in-person interview here in the new podcast studio. So thank you, Ryan, for coming in. This is Ryan Hughes. He is a nurse practitioner. He really specializes with brain health. He's got a background in psychiatry. I'm going to let him go into his background, his origin story. But this episode is going to be for you if you've been struggling with things like ADHD. There's so many people anymore getting diagnosed with ADHD. It's kind of crazy. And we want to really just delve into that and figure out, are these diagnoses, are they correct? Are a lot of people being misdiagnosed? What's going on with the increase that we're seeing in ADHD? And then also what we can do to be able to, if we're struggling with ADHD, to deal with those symptoms, maybe even make it a superpower. I don't know. But if you are struggling with ADHD, if you've been diagnosed recently, this is the podcast for you. So, Ryan, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she said, I'm formerly trained in psychiatry, and then I've transitioned to functional, natural, holistic medicine to help people get to the root cause of issues, specifically with brain health, but everything is connected.
Yeah. So first of all, how did you get started? Why did you choose psychiatry as a field in the beginning?
Yeah, that's a great question. Early on, I got into medicine early on. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a respiratory therapist. My sister became a nurse. And originally, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, but my dad got cancer and ended up dying in 2014. So I thought I wanted to go to oncology, and then I realized I didn't really believe in how that treated their clients, patients. So really, it came down to either ER medicine or psychiatry, and I realized I thought I was going to be best at psychiatry, and I was diagnosed with ADHD as a kid, so I think that had to play a big role in it. And I felt like I could help people the most, and people would just open up to me, like at the grocery store and stuff. It was kind of fun, and they'd be like, "I've never told anyone this," so I thought that would be the best fit for me.
It's interesting that you avoided oncology because you didn't like how patients were being treated for cancer and things like that. But then you went into psychiatry, and that's also a field that I feel like
it is. I like to say psychiatry is a stand-up comedy show. It's bad. I mean, they need a lot of work.
So when you went into psychiatry, you went into it probably not from the holistic side of things initially. And was there a transition to where you were learning and going to school for psychiatry in the conventional sense, and then you kind of shifted into the holistic side?
Yeah, because I mean, in medicine, you have to go through the path, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, and when I was in school, I really didn't like what I was learning. I didn't agree with a lot of it, but I had to see the future plan. I knew I wanted to be in holistic natural medicine, but obviously, to get the degree as a nurse practitioner, you have to go through that. So that's what I did. And then, what's kind of funny, I mean, this is a true story. When I moved to Naples, Florida, to practice psychiatry, my plan was to actually quit within 3 months. So I just didn't think I was going to like it. Within the contract that I signed, I could leave within 3 months. But then I realized that I was helping people more than I thought I was going to be able to. And my role was to prescribe meds. So obviously I did that, but I helped by prescribing meds that had less side effects, taking people off their meds, coming in the room. The most profound thing was coming in the room and just sitting down and just being quiet and letting them talk. Because, I mean, what you find is a lot of providers will just walk in the room and they'll stand over the patient and tell them what to do kind of stuff. And then some providers won't even see the patients, which is really sad. So just going in the room and sitting down and letting them talk is just, it's amazing. They'll tell you what's going on. Like, they'll tell you everything you need to know, right? It's not really the doctor. It's the patient telling you everything, and then praying with the patient. So I would do things, that I don't know. I might even get in trouble for, but I didn't care. So praying for the patient, we do gratitude, deep breathing, some really cool stuff that helped the patients a lot. Like, for instance, I had this one patient who I got consulted on because she was having severe anxiety, depression, and suicidality. So I was getting consulted to see if maybe, does she need to be on a suicide hold? And by the end of our conversation, after doing deep breathing, gratitude, and prayer, she went from 10 out of 10 suicidality, so the worst she could be, to 0. At the end of it, she was like, I'm not feeling suicidal anymore. I'm not anxious or depressed. And it's, I was there to prescribe med, but I didn't even do that that time. It was just me being there and really just having someone for her to talk.
That's so powerful. And, I had my absolute favorite primary care physician when I was a child and on into my adult years as well. The reason why he was so good at what he did is he did exactly what you're talking about. He would literally, you'd come in for anything. You'd have the nurse that you talk to at first, and then she'd leave. And then in comes the doctor. And usually what happens is they stare at their laptop and they go, Erica, so you're here for this, and you're on this, and that's it, right?
Here's a pill. I got 5 minutes.
Exactly. But he would always take out a stool and he would sit down and he'd cross his legs and he'd go, how's it going? What's going on? And then he'd be quiet. And that's why he was hugely popular and was hands down the best physician I ever personally worked with as a patient.
Very good.
And so, yeah, exactly what you're saying, just listening, because your patient knows way more about themselves than the doctor does. So I can imagine that would be very powerful. And then you're bringing spirituality into it as well.
It's huge.
Yeah. I think a lot of times our mental health issues that we're seeing accelerate in society today is also a spiritual issue, deficiency.
Oh, absolutely. But it's not something I would push on them. I would just, when I'm leaving the room, I would say, God bless, blessed day. And if that sparks something, then we could dive into it further. I don't remember how we ended up praying, but it came out natural.
Right. Yeah. You weren't forcing it on her and be like, well, this is going to help. Let me lay hands and pray on over you. And she's like, what? Like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said you were diagnosed with ADHD as a kid. What was that like?
Oh man, it was a very tough time. Yeah. I mean, it was a label and it really held me back in a lot of ways. Because I had my thought pattern was that, okay, I have this thing that maybe I can't become a nurse practitioner, doctor and stuff. Maybe I can't do the things I want to do, sports or whatever it may be. So it definitely held me back. And then being on meds, I was on too high of a dose. And it held me back a lot. And the things I want to do, I was like a zombie. So, I mean, I got the schoolwork done. And at that time in my life, the doctor says, you need this. So you look up to them and you go with that. So I did, and I stayed on it. I did the best I could with it, and I did well in school, but that was my focus. So socially, my social life really failed in a sense, for lack of a better word, because I was so focused on school.
How old were you when you were diagnosed?
That's a good question. Probably like as a young kid. I mean, I was like on Concerta and Ritalin. So like 9, 10, 11, something like that.
Yeah. So elementary going into towards middle school.
Yeah, and that's a challenging time, right?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting you said the meds helped you with the schoolwork, which school is very much designed to sit there in one spot, answer the questions correctly. It's very rigid. Not great for learning, and honestly.
It's not. And it's really it's a terrible environment for, I would say, any kid, especially boys.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to have a kid sit still and just all day. And then you're under artificial light all day and EMF, and you're eating rectangular pizzas and this
pizzas.
Freaking chocolate milk that's got all the crap in it. And so, it's not a good environment. I mean, no wonder I was struggling so much.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that ADHD diagnosis was a correct diagnosis for you?
That's a good question. Based on the diagnosis, yes, I would say so.
Okay.
I would think so, based on my lifestyle. I thought I was healthy. We were eating wheat bread. It's healthier than white bread, and drinking skim milk. It doesn't have the fat in it, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I was eating Pop-Tarts and Toasted Strudels and all Cinnamon Toast Crunch and all this stuff.
Yep.
And then going to the school system, and baking under artificial light, which I don't know if your viewers understand how negative that is, but it is, and EMF, and just being stuck in the modern school system.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard.
So how long were you on the medication for?
Oh, years. I mean, up
Years.
until college.
Okay. And when did you start basically figuring out the lifestyle things that were affecting ADHD? How did you discover that?
I think it was really after high school I started to really get into weightlifting, and that was a nice release for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that comes eating better for your physique and such. And I realized how profound what I was eating was for my mental health. So, I mean, I was still taking the meds, but I was doing so much better. For instance, increasing your protein intake. Something that can really benefit people with ADHD is protein for breakfast and protein at every meal. And then eating healthier, eating real food, eating good fats. So from there, I was like, wow, this is huge. So then I got obsessed. People with ADHD, they can hyper-focus on things. And like we were talking about earlier, it can be a superpower if you really focus on the right things and whatnot. And I just got obsessed with nutrition and fitness and learned a lot. And then from there, I just really expanded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with the ADHD diagnosis and then the meds, you talked about the meds made you just kind of feel what, like just dull? You said like a zombie?
Zombie, yeah. I would just kind of be in my own little zone. It would be like school and that's it. I wouldn't be social with people. Which is, as you know me now, I mean, I'm a pretty social guy.
Mm-hmm.
So much different than I was when I was growing up. Once being on the meds and such.
Yeah, I've heard people describe it as like they would just everything's in shades of gray, like their personality and everything just got dulled. It's like just kind of everything just gets turned down with that.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to describe it. Yeah. You wouldn't want to be around me, I don't think.
Okay.
It wouldn't be fun to be around.
Yeah.
I was just so focused on school and that's it, which is unfortunate in a lot of ways.
So when you started discovering, hey, this nutrition stuff is working out, all these different things, when did you start kind of working through tapering off the medication? How did you go about that? What did that look like?
Yeah, especially when I got into college, I stopped taking as much, and I would feel much better on the days I wouldn't take it, but I would take it for when I really needed to study and such. And then when I was in nursing school, I was using it, and that was tough too. But because when you're on that, then you might have more anxiety because of the medication, and then you're not sleeping, and then you're taking Xanax for that anxiety, and you're on an antidepressant. At one point, I was taking. It's really crazy for me to even think about this, but this is true. I was on Adderall, Xanax, antidepressant, and then you're taking trazodone for sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow. So, maybe the question you asked me now.
How you started kind of tapering off, like what did that look like?
Yeah. So I completely came off of it when I was in my nurse practitioner program, which was a big thing for me because I realized I can do this without medication. Because I got to a point, think about it, I've been taking it since I was a little kid, so I relied on it. So I thought I literally had to have it to get through school. And then I realized once you start to replace the lifestyle, once you start to improve your lifestyle, you can come off the medication, right? I would explain to my patients in the hospital, think of your body like a house, and you might have a leak in the roof. You can patch the roof, you can fix the roof. And maybe you need to patch the roof temporarily in the beginning, but let's fix the roof, right? So once you start to fix the roof, fix your house, then you can remove the patch with the pill, right? So, once I started to really fix my lifestyle, I was able to come off it. And a big confidence boost for me was being able to complete my nurse practitioner program without it. And I was actually thinking about this the other day. I may have used it in the first semester a little bit, but I know for sure that the maturity of my nurse practitioner program, I was off of it completely, basically.
Yeah, and that's
So
amazing because that's not an easy program.
right, so after that, I was like, "What?" I basically, in lack of a better word, I fixed my brain in a sense that now I don't need the med, and I actually do better without it.
Mhm.
So I started to realize I do better without it, and being able to complete the nurse practitioner program without the meds was huge. I was like, "Okay, I don't need this anymore."
Yeah. Tell me about you said when you got diagnosed with ADHD, it was a label that held you back. How did
Yeah.
it just having that label hold you back?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be helpful to know maybe in some ways, but in a lot of ways, when I was in the hospital, I really didn't even like diagnosing people.
Mhm.
And I mean, you kind of have to in a way, but I really minimized it as much as I could. But yeah, I think it's if you go Google ADHD and you look at it with the negative traits of it stuff, it can really kind of hold you back in a sense of, oh, maybe they're not successful, they can't focus, they're not going to be able to be consistent and do the things they need to do to be successful in life or whatever it may be. So for me, it was like, I don't know that I can make it through school. And I mean, can I really become a medical provider with ADHD? Like, I'm
Mm.
not smart enough.
Mm.
So I think that was the label for me.
Yeah, and I hear this a lot because it seems like everybody once they hit 30, 35, they're getting this diagnosis of ADHD. I'm constantly
Mm,
seeing it on social media like, "Oh," and you get when they get the diagnosis, and I understand this as well, when I got diagnosed with Still's disease, it's like this relief of like, "Okay, finally we have a name for what I've been dealing with and what I've been struggling
mm,
with." But then you start using that as almost an excuse for
yeah,
why you
kind of like the
can't.
crud.
And it's constantly like, well, for neuronormative people, they can do this, but neurodivergent people, we have to do this. And it becomes a yourself against the world type thing. And there's, like you said, there's a use for these diagnoses. That's great. Good. That's good to know. So now maybe you have to adapt your lifestyle in a certain way, and that's fine, but that should not be your identity. It should not be this like badge of honor that you're wearing and constantly affecting every little thing you do and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and almost the way I think about it is like a diagnosis like that, a disease, a disorder. It's definitely not a disease, a disorder,
Hmm.
but a disease, a disorder is very profitable. So that's kind of how I think about it. When you work with me, I'm not going to I don't diagnose with ADHD. I mean, I may ask your history, and maybe you've already been diagnosed with ADHD. Or we may be talking. You say you get really bored with things, but you get really excited about certain things and different things like that, but I don't have to say, "Okay, you have ADHD."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and going on that, so there's times where I hear about ADHD and the symptoms of ADHD and everything like that, and I'm like, I know I don't have ADHD, but there's things that
Mm,
people with ADHD, it's like, yeah, I do that sometimes too. Sometimes I get
right.
super excited about something and go all in, and then there's other things I get bored with, and sometimes I really struggle to focus, and sometimes I'm like totally fine. And so I and this is just coming from someone who doesn't know as much about this particular subject, which is why I'm having you on. Is this diagnosis being put on too many people, or is this truly an epidemic where there's just tons of people with ADHD and maybe that's because the environment we're living in kind of causing that? Or are we trying to put a label on something that is actually a normal, an okay thing to have, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I guess I think it's both. I mean, I think it's overdiagnosed, but I also think there's more people having similar symptoms. I mean, as we
Mhm.
with technology, and we are more and more disconnected from ourselves, from other people, from nature more than ever, right? Because technology is becoming more and more prevalent, and we're just sucked into our phones all day.
Yeah. Well, and the phones, the social media, I mean, is affecting our
Social
attention
media.
spans. I mean, our attention spans are less than a goldfish at this point, is what they're what they're saying. And it's because we're so used to being on our phone and everything's just this quick dopamine hit constantly. And that could be perpetuating what we're now calling ADHD as well. And maybe that's why people maybe truly didn't have it when they were younger, and now they're developing it when they're older because we're more exposed to social media and on it more and that sort of thing. I don't know. It's kind of...
Yeah, I mean, that's very possible.
Okay.
I mean, it's definitely messing up our dopamine regulation, being on devices all day.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's also times where I think about ADHD, and I know some really successful people that have ADHD. They're entrepreneurs with multiple businesses, and they're doing fantastic. And I almost feel like they're able to do that because of their ADHD. They're able to kind of divide up their brain a little more than maybe what I can. Whereas sometimes I get a little single focus, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is falling to the wayside. Now I got to focus on this. And I'm like, oh wait, this is falling to the wayside. And I know some successful people that it seems like they can just like balance all these like spinning plates, and they love it, and they're just thriving off of it. And so those people, I feel like they're almost using their ADHD as a superpower. And I guess my question to you is, one, can it be a superpower? And two, how can people start using that problem, that diagnosis, as a superpower?
Absolutely. I do think it's a superpower. I think it's a gift.
Mm-hmm.
But you just got to figure out how to harness it, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That starts with not looking at it as a label and harnessing those, if you want to say symptoms or whatever, it's more of like a trait. It's not a disorder. Just harnessing those things. So it's about how you look at ADHD and then get into the root cause of ADHD. I feel like it's multifactorial. So it can be through trauma that you had in your environment as a kid. I mean, if you had to put one word to it, it'd be stress. But a lot of people think about stress as psychosocial stress, and that can be part of it, right? A big part of it. But stress, when I think about stress, I also think of stress from the foods you eat. So if you eat toaster strudels and pancakes and with Aunt Jemima's maple syrup on it and whatever, that can be a stress in your body. Stress through different toxins, through different relationships. Stress can come in many different forms, right? So get into the root cause of that, and then optimizing your lifestyle, which is many different things, right? So you're like your psychosocial, what kind of water you're drinking, the food you're eating, the people you're around, the exercise. I don't know if I mentioned optimizing your light environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely want to delve into that a little more as well. I just really want people to understand that are listening to this and dealing with this, that this label that's been put on you doesn't have to be a punishment. It doesn't have to be a cage. It could actually be something that you could use to get ahead in life. And I kind of wonder too if the traits of ADHD actually did serve us as humans when we lived in a less modern environment, like being hyper aware of different things in our environment would have been great for certain survival skills. But now in the environment that we have, where we're not having to jump at every, like, if we hear the crack of a stick behind us, like, that's just not the environment we live in anymore.
Yeah.
Is that why it's a problem so much now? Maybe it was actually beneficial at one point. I don't know.
Well, I think it can still be beneficial today. Absolutely. I mean, people with ADHD can thrive under pressure, like ER medicine and as an entrepreneur in different things. And then when they're hyper focused on the right things, often you hear that people with ADHD have problems focusing. I look at it as more of they just have a different type of operating system, and they just it's what do they just have a different style of focus in a sense. And when you can focus on the right things, that's where they can do incredible things. I mean, just look at all the people that have had ADHD that have really excelled at a high level. I mean, Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian of all time, apparently has ADHD, right? And there's many more.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and again, going back to how rigid school is, and then that also is to make you a great employee.
Mm,
That's designed so that, I mean, that is what how the school system came to be, was to make great employees. People who will just follow direction, do what they're told, don't question, say the right answers, arrive on time, be okay with doing the same thing every day, and routine consistency, da da da. And
yeah,
so we're
that's
kind
on
of
purpose to keep it small.
exactly, exactly. And so most people, there's people who don't fit in that box, and that's okay.
ADHD people do not fit in the school system. I mean, I struggled so much. Yeah, we're not supposed to be in that.
No, no. And that's where, if you have ADHD, going outside of the box when it comes to things like work and that sort of thing, maybe the 9 to 5, doing the same
Mm,
thing
mm.
every day, clocking in, clocking out, coming home, sitting and watching Netflix is not the life for you, and that's okay.
That's death for an ADHD, for
Yes.
someone with ADHD.
So what would be a better option for them?
I'm so glad you brought that up because that is huge. I think maybe it's sometimes overlooked. I mean, just with anyone, but especially with someone with ADHD, they have to be on their purpose.
Mm.
They have to be like, when they're going to bed, they're excited to wake up the next day and they're out of bed like within 5 seconds. Up, let's go. I'm excited to do blank, whatever that is. What excites you?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I like to ask the question: if God gave you $1 billion, but you had to step into something that you absolutely loved that would help benefit other people, and you do that daily, whatever it is. I mean, I don't care what it is, if it's bag groceries or whatever it is. But if you didn't do it to the best of your ability and you weren't excited about it, and you didn't continue to do it, then God would take that money back.
Mm.
So what would that be? But to kind of answer your question more specifically, I think people with ADHD like a lot of high performers. I mean, you see a lot of athletes, you see just different entrepreneurs starting your own business.
Hmm.
A lot of them don't do well in the 9 to 5. Medicine, I mean, just medicine in general, but it's got to be something you're excited about.
Yeah. Well, you said purpose, and I think the problem is a lot of people don't have purpose. That it's the number one reason why I think people have depression and anxiety and that sort of thing. So
It's
even
huge.
if yeah, it's huge. And even if maybe you can't be an entrepreneur, maybe you can't start your own business. Maybe you're just like, I have no idea what my skill set would even be to start a business, right? So okay, so you're in a 9 to 5 type job. Okay, that's fine. But if you can learn to find purpose within that job, that would be another avenue that could work for them.
Yeah, and you can find purpose in different things.
Yeah.
And you can find purpose in that job temporarily and while you're working on your business
Yeah. Yeah.
outside of that,
Hmm.
right? But I mean, you could argue purpose is why we're here, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that could really, I mean, I'm so big on food as medicine and all these other things, but purpose, you could argue that's number one. I mean, it's so, so important.
Yeah. And I think that's why if you look up the companies that have, the best employee satisfaction and everything like that, it's companies that really drive home purpose and autonomy to their employees, right? It makes when they make the employees understand this is what we're here for, this is what we're working for, gives them goals, gives them that sort of thing. So they don't feel meaningless they're not a cog in a machine, essentially. And I do think no matter what job you do, you can find that yourself. Maybe your employer's not the type to lead the way that way, but you can find that purpose within what you're doing and understanding that what you're doing is benefiting more than just the CEO and the company, right? Every job, no matter how like menial it seems to be, has a purpose for society, and you can find that in how you're benefiting people. And like you said, that can push you along while you work on your own passion and purpose and maybe develop something on your own. But
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
I agree.
Now, I want to talk about the real nitty-gritty detail of the lifestyle factors that people really need to work on to make this truly a superpower. And I know on your social media you talk about this a lot too. Light. You're very big on getting away from the artificial lights, and how does that affect the brain? And yeah, tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's very important. That's something I've learned in the past couple of years working with my colleague who's very smart. Just because I mean, for a while I knew exercise and eating real food and all that is very important, but optimizing your light environment, I put above both of those things even because I mean that regulates our circadian rhythm, which is everything. To our sleep, to our bowel movements. It's really, really important. And it can be pretty simple, really. So like when you wake up, first thing, go take a 10-minute walk, get the sunlight in your eyes right away. 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. And it's ideally without you don't want to be wearing sunglasses or glasses or contacts, getting that light in your eyes. And then at night, it's getting the lights off. When it's dark outside, the lights off.
Yeah.
At night. And that means you're disengaging from artificial light, from devices, and you have the lights off in your house. And you can get blue light blockers, which is very helpful. And then you go into bed at a reasonable time. Just that. But to my clients, I basically recommend them to take 3 10-minute walks a day. It's very simple.
It almost sounds too simple.
No, I know. And it's not very profitable. I don't make a lot of money on it.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah.
so you can't put that in a pill, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's not profitable, but it's profound.
For those who are not familiar with the term circadian rhythm, how can you explain that and how important it is for our health? What is circadian rhythm?
Yeah, it's everything. It's how our biology is, how we run. Like if you look at people who work night shift, if you look that up, they live what? I don't remember exactly, 15 to 20 years less than we do.
Big.
And they have a lot of issues. So that's how we were designed to live. We were designed to wake up when it's light, when the sun comes up, and we were designed to go to bed when it's dark. And if you don't do that, you're going to have, it's going to be basically impossible to be healthy. If you take the people that are working night shift and they eat the most local, fresh, organic, gluten-free, filling all the stuff, food, and they're exercising, doing all the things, they're still going to have issues because they're not optimizing their circadian rhythm.
Yeah, I can personally attest to this because working in the hospital for 14 years and occasionally hopping on the night shift because, they need some extra help at the hospital. And I'm like, okay, I can do this for a short time. And my body's like, no, you can't. And I mean, just like you said, it does not seem to matter. I could have a perfect diet and nothing is going right with my health. And it's the only thing I've changed.
Yeah. So that's why I refused to work night shift. I mean, I think I maybe did it once, but going out of school, a lot of people accept night shift right out of school because they think they have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you really don't.
Yeah.
I never did.
Well, also night shift's a carcinogen. It's actually been labeled as a carcinogen, which, I mean, yeah, makes sense. And like what you were talking about, we were designed to wake up with the sun and go to bed when the sun sets and everything. What I like to think about when it comes to health and lifestyle is what did we do before all of these modern conveniences, before light bulbs, before electricity, like all that? Because that's what has been ingrained in our DNA and has been passed on to us over generation and generation and generation. Our genetics take a really long time to start mutating and adapting to new environments. And this modern environment has only been around for like 150 years at the most. I mean, with the electricity, I mean, I don't know. I need to go back and read my history books. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that is
That's a great
blip, a blip in human history. And we just expected our bodies that it didn't matter. Like light is light. And it's really not. So.
Yeah. I mean, when in doubt, go back to prehistoric times and what was going on and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I like to think about what would Jesus do? Would Jesus be diagnosing people with ADHD and having us take all these pills and everything?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, light. I know it's hard. It's simple what you're asking. 3 walks a day. Simple.
It's simple.
But it's not easy.
It's not easy yeah. I guess it's not easy.
Yeah, because it's kind of like whenever I talk to people about getting to bed earlier, right? It seems like a simple thing, but that one habit affects so many other things in your schedule that you've got to finagle to get to bed on time, right? So you've got to change multiple things to be able to achieve the one goal of getting to bed at whatever hour. And I think a walk, okay, just 10 minutes, but you can do it. I'm not saying it's impossible, but this is where people get stuck and they go, oh my gosh, I have to take a walk in the middle of the day? Like, I've got to work. How am I supposed to do that? Well, I mean, 10 minutes, surely you get a lunch break, right? At some point, can you take 10 minutes of your lunch break to walk outside the building that you work in? There's ways to do it, but our environment, our current schedules are not real conducive to it. And so you have to work at it, unfortunately, in this environment.
Yeah. So what I would say about that is, number one, once you dial in your sleep, everything else is going to be easier. Mm-hmm. So I guarantee you it's going to be worth it. Mm-hmm. It's going to make your day easier. You're going to have more time. Maybe you don't have to take a nap. Maybe you don't have to go to the break room to drink coffee every couple hours. Yeah. You're going to have more time. Yeah. Number two, you can do it. I mean, I kind of joke. A friend of mine would used to say this, like, take a smoke break. Smoke break.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, so people get to take smoke breaks, right? So, I mean, you can take a smoke break, and I'm not advising you to go smoke. I'm actually advising not to. But instead of taking a smoke break, you take a smoke break and you take a walk, right? I mean, you can do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think legally, if you work a 12-hour shift, so if you're working in a hospital, you work a 12-hour shift, legally, you're supposed to have a 30-minute lunch and believe 2 15-minute breaks during the day. That's legally, they're supposed to allow you that. So, and most people don't take advantage of it, right?
That is right.
So, but legally you can do that, and they really can't say anything about it. They can't fire you for it. Now, obviously, if you're in the hospital and you're working and you've got multiple patients and you're working in the ER and things are crazy and someone's coding over there and you've got this going on, ideally not the time to walk away. But finding those moments when there is a little bit of a downtime to take just 2 rounds outside the building and pop back in could be huge. And do you think, when you're talking about sleep, that this is a big reason why people have such sleep issues? People who can't fall asleep and they can't stay asleep. They may be able to fall asleep right away, but they're waking up at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, because of not getting the natural sunlight. They're just under these artificial lights. And they're on trazodone now because they can't sleep.
Absolutely. No doubt. 100%.
Yeah. So
absolutely. It's so simple.
It's too simple.
I mean, I used to take trazodone, Xanax, all that stuff to sleep. My sleep is the best it's ever been this past year or so, past couple of years. And then just recently, I implemented just walking 10 minutes every day in the morning. And I noticed that's helped.
Yeah.
With onset and just overall quality, probably.
And think about what that means for your brain, because your brain at night when you're sleeping, that's when it is able to clean out all the junk, takes out the trash, essentially. So if you're not getting the sleep, you're just basically, it's like garbage building up in the glymphatic system of your brain. This leads to more than just ADHD. This leads to, we're seeing increasing rates of dementia in younger ages because of sleep issues.
Yeah, sleep is number one, because if you don't have your sleep in order, you're gonna crave crappy foods. And you're going to be less likely, you're going to have less motivation, be less disciplined to go to the gym like you said you would, and so on and so forth. So if you can really get some good sleep, it's going to make everything better. And all this plays together. When you eat real food and you increase your protein intake, you're going to start sleeping better too. So it's just like I said, it all works together.
Talk more about the diet side of things, because you talked about how your diet as a kid probably largely contributed to
Absolutely.
ADHD. How so?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very confident that, well, number one, I wouldn't be diagnosed with ADHD now. I'm not taking any of those meds. And then if I knew, if I could talk to my younger self and teach him what I know now, I would have never been diagnosed with ADHD or whatever. But to get back to your question specifically,
The food that you were eating as a kid, do you think it affected?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I kind of thought I didn't really realize, but I was eating, like I said, Sweet Toast Crunch, skim milk that you get from the grocery store, and Pop Tarts, and high sugar foods, and not enough protein, and all that stuff. So, I mean, now, basically what I recommend to clients and friends, family, is just eat real. It's the most simple thing that you can do. When you go to the grocery store, stay on the outsides of the grocery store. If you're looking at, if it's in a box, I mean, ideally it's not in a box, but if it is, it's got a couple of ingredients, and hopefully you can pronounce the ingredients right.
Yep.
But eating high protein, eating a protein at every meal, I mean, that can be like, lean meats, whatever, salmon, chicken, and then the size of your fist is kind of a good way to look at it, right? Because like if you got a 5-year-old kid, he's got a smaller fist than I do, right? So that's pretty simple. And then you just add some veggies and just good carbs.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds so boring, though.
I mean, it does at first, but it actually can be, I've found that it can be very tasty. You can make very, very good tasting food. And once you start coming off of the toaster strudels and the cinnamon rolls and all that stuff, your taste buds change.
Mm-hmm.
So if I ate milk cookie, those oatmeal cream pies and toaster strudels and all that stuff now, I mean, it would be really hard. It would be very too much sugar, right?
Yep.
So as you start to come off that stuff, you start to actually appreciate sweet potatoes. Like for me, sweet potato is like a dessert.
Yeah.
Or yogurt, Greek yogurt with fruit and local honey.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's when people talk about dessert. That's what I have. Every now and then I might have some good ice cream, but you end up acquiring a good taste for good food, for real food.
Yeah. Problem is, these foods that people consider foods are not actually foods. They're foods that have been engineered
Exactly. It's not a real food.
Yeah. No, if you look at the grocery store, and I think this often when I'm at the grocery store, 90% of this is not even food. It's frankenfoods. It's food-like substances. Like, these have all been engineered to hijack our taste buds, and that's why so many people, when they first start making these changes to eat real whole foods, they're just nothing tastes good. It is so bland. And it's because you're so used to these hyper palatable foods that now your taste buds are like, what is this? And then, like you said, it will change. It takes probably a couple weeks of being consistent with it before you're like, oh, wow, sweet potatoes actually taste sweet. I know why sweet potatoes are called sweet potatoes now, right? Because they're actually sweet.
How about that? Yeah.
Yeah, where before they were bland. And I do think a lot of people get caught up in wanting to make these like big chef-style meals when it can just be as simple as the meat, the vegetable, and some really good seasoning, some good fats, because that's going to bring out flavor as well. And salt, good real salt, not the Morton salt, but like actual salt.
Exactly.
But they get overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to cook all my food. And that's a lot of planning and all these recipes. And now I got to buy all this stuff at the grocery store. And it's like, it really can be as simple as a good steak and some veggies. And that can be amazing in so many ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it really is simple. And I think maybe some people look at me and think that I just like spend all this time with meals, and I really don't. I mean, typically right now in the morning, I'll make some eggs and maybe even some oatmeal, and that's pretty quick. And even if you just did eggs, come on, that's quick. Or you could hard boil some eggs the night before, and that's quick. And then you have a banana or something.
Yeah.
Or eggs and avocado or just whatever. That's quick. A lot of my meals are quick.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I was in school, I would do, and this doesn't sound appetizing. So I'm kind of weird when it comes to this stuff. But I would do like a protein shake, and I would do like a shot of olive oil.
Yeah.
Or put the olive oil in the protein shake. There's your good protein and good fat. And that was a game changer for my cognitive health. Big time.
Yeah.
So it's quick and easy. And maybe put some honey in there or something, but for taste.
Yeah. Why does it seem like the higher fat diets, because most people, when they do make that change to higher protein, higher fat, the first thing they notice is mental clarity. They're just like, I don't even have the brain fog anymore. What is going on?
Yeah. I mean, our brains are fill in the blank percentage. I can't remember exactly. It's a large percentage of fat. So I think that's a lot of it. It's just, food is medicine. So when you start putting in avocado, coconut oil, olive oil, you got good fat from the eggs. Some people say, don't eat the egg yolk. You need the egg yolk.
Breaks my heart when people say that. If I hear someone order like an egg white omelet, I'm like, no.
I know. But like saturated fat has been villainized, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, coconut oil has saturated fat in it. Eggs have saturated fat, but it's actually good. It's really the trans fat you don't want, which is the oatmeal cream pies, the processed foods.
Exactly. Now, another thing you mentioned was how much working out helped you. And kind of, I believe you said it kind of almost gave you like a little bit of an outlet,
It was a release. When I was on the medic during that time, it was tough. So that's where I think that's really where working out really came in. Absolutely, it was a release.
So what do you think is happening there physiologically that's helping with your brain and feeling that way?
Well, part of it's like going and hitting like a heavy bag.
Mm-hmm.
It's just helps you just kind of release that tension that you're dealing with. And then exercise, it's health boost BDNF, which is like, it's kind of like miracle grow for your brain.
BDNF?
BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
And you get a boost from that when you work out and move those muscles and engage them.
There's other ways to boost BDNF, like when you're in the sauna. Boost
Okay.
BDNF. So that's, it's kind of like when you go on it's kind of like that in the endorphins and such.
The runner's high. Because when you said that, it mirrored, I literally was on I'm on social media a lot because of what I do, trying to put out content. So it's kind of like hard to, it's like blocking out time that I can actually be on it and stuff. But this one fitness influencer that she actually she's the first step of how I got to where I am. I started losing weight and started following her program, and then eventually went to a Whole30 diet, which is how I actually put this Still's disease in remission. But she just got diagnosed with ADHD. And she was saying, oh, this makes so much sense. And, everything I've struggled with since I was a kid, like this makes a lot of sense. And I'm so glad I got this diagnosis. And that exercise has always been her peace. The moment where her brain could actually feel calm and quiet. That was the only time her brain was quiet, was when she was working out. And I was thinking about, I bet you, BDNF, so many other things that are happening when you're engaging those muscles. And if you think about it too, we're living in this environment that's very high stress, right? And again, our body has one way of dealing with stress. Our body doesn't understand, hey, this is a mental stress, not a bear coming after you. But it's got one pathway to really deal with stress. And it basically is to spike cortisol and spike glucose because your muscles are going to need to fight or flee, whatever. Well, guess what? We're not fighting. We're not fleeing. We're sitting there working on work and projects and being annoyed at our coworker or whatever it is. So when you have the release of being able to work out and engage those muscles, that's, I think, one of the big ways it could be helping the brain as well.
Yeah, it's a release, but also it wakes up the brain. It kind of like turns your brain on when you have ADHD.
Yeah.
So someone that's dealing with ADHD needs to be into some kind, I don't want to say exercise, but just some kind of physical activity that you enjoy.
So it's not, you wouldn't say it has to be strength training or it has to be this. It's just something you enjoy.
Right. Some people think about exercise. I have to go get on the treadmill. Ideally, it's going to be outside.
Yeah.
Getting outside as much as possible is going to be so good for someone with ADHD. But if you can, I don't care what it is. If it's swimming, for Michael Phelps, it was swimming. it's basketball. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, but for me, it's like a sport. Like, I don't really like running, but I love to play pickleball. So I'm running in pickleball without even thinking about it, right? So something that you love to do is going to be, it's really almost a non-negotiable, basically, for someone with ADHD.
Yeah. So light, sleep, diet, exercise. You mentioned relationships and how that played a role as well, maybe in what you were dealing with. What does that look like?
That's huge. That's such a great question. That's something I think people often overlook. I wasn't well connected socially growing up, but now I'm very well connected, and it makes a profound difference on your health.
Yeah.
It's so big. I mean, there was a study that basically showed that loneliness is equivalent to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day or something like that. Have you seen that?
I haven't, but I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it really actually makes a lot of sense. So like the past 2 years, I've gotten really connected once, going to Naples and then even coming back, my network has just exploded. It's been really, it's just great. It's really important for your health.
And again, going back to the social media that was supposed to connect us. It was supposed to connect us.
Right.
And
it can in some ways, but we're really, more disconnected than ever, unfortunately.
I think COVID really shone a light on that because it was like, no, it's fine. Stay home from work, stay home from school. Don't see your friends. It's okay because you can Zoom everybody. It's totally the same.
Oh, man, don't get me started on all of that. Talk about bad for your health. Stay at home inside by yourself, put on a mask and...
Yeah. And what we saw was huge rates increase with suicide. I know that working at a children's hospital, we saw a huge increase in, child abuse cases, huge increase in kids coming in for, what we call behavioral health, which is basically like the psychology section in the ER and that sort of thing. We saw huge amounts with that. But it was supposed to be just fine. It's just the same as being in person. You can see faces on a computer screen. There's no difference. And yet again, the modern conveniences cannot substitute for what we as humans have been doing for thousands and thousands of years.
Right.
It's a fake. And our body knows it, and our body will express that. And that's why a lot of people, when they started doing the remote jobs as well, they thought it'd be great because, hey, you get to sit in your pajama pants and work, and you don't have to drive into the office. And most people wanted to go back into the office very quickly.
Yeah. Well, they're really good about making it sound like it's going to be really great. But that, like I said, staying at home, put your mask on, all the things they recommend was such a recipe for decreasing your immune system. Keep you sick.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite of what they're really saying is going to happen. But
Yeah. Well, I love all the tips we've gone through. Do you have any other thoughts as far as what someone with ADHD could do? What would be, you said the easiest thing to do would be going for a walk 3 times a day. If they just start there,
that's a great
the rest would follow.
And start with 5 minutes. I don't care. Start with 1 minute. Like if you don't think you can do 5 minutes, just walk to your mailbox and back. It's real. You'll be surprised that you can do it.
Yeah.
So it's really just starting it.
Yeah.
And believing that it really is going to work.
All right. Well, Ryan, thank you very much for coming on and having this discussion. I would love for people to be able to connect with you. You're here in Knoxville now. So I'll make sure to put in the show notes all the different ways they can connect, but go ahead and let everyone know, any social media accounts or websites or any way that they can reach out to you if they have any questions and want some help with ADHD or any health issues.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. It's been an honor. This has been really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, so Real Ryan Hughes, REAL, and then Ryan Hughes on Instagram. And then my website is optimizeyourbrainhealth.com.
Perfect. All right. Well, hopefully we'll be able to do this again and talk about other things.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Awesome.